Thank you. We go to agenda item 1, apologies. Do we have apologies, please?
Yes, Chairman, I've received apologies from Councillor David Cronk.
Thank you. And any appointment of substitute members?
No, there are no substitute members appointed.
Thank you. And do we have any declarations of interest, please? I see no eyes hitting mine, so I'm assuming there are no declarations. Thank you. We go to the minutes. The minutes have been fully drafted, but are not currently available and will be available quite soon, I'm assured. If we can go then to item 5, which is the application number DOV 2600383. That's Paradise Row Sandwich. And if our planning officer can please make your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, members. The application I'm presenting to committee tonight concerns the erection of a detached incidental outbuilding in the rear garden of number 31 Paradise Row. The key considerations for this are likely to be the appropriateness of the design, any potential impacts on heritage assets, and any potential impacts on residential amenity. On the slide behind me, I have the site location plan on the left and the proposed site plan on the right-hand side, showing the proposed siting of the building within the rear garden of the application site. This slide has proposed sections and the 4 elevations of the building. So dimensionally, the footprint of the core of the building is 4.5 by 3.4 meters. The building would be 2.5 meters in height at its rear elevation and 2.7 meters in height at its front. And its materials would be timber walls with a shallow monopitch roof. And the proposed floor plan, as I mentioned, the roughly 4.5 by 3.5 footprint is shown on the left-hand side there. So in terms of the design, as I mentioned, the building is single-story of a relatively simple kind of design and form. It has a shallow monopitch roof and a 1.2 meter deck area to the front. The scale of the building is in the officer assessment considered to be appropriate for the proposed use as an incidental building, and the proposed materials being predominantly timber with glass doors at the front are also considered to be suitable in accordance with the aims of PM1, our main design policy. In terms of heritage impacts, the report kind of itemizes nearby listed buildings and the Sandwich Conservation Area, and the assessment is based on comments from the council's heritage officer, who kind of assesses potential impacts on each listed building and the conservation area in turn, finding that the building would cause no harm to any of the heritage assets. And in terms of residential amenity, the kind of single-story scale and bulk of the building is not considered to result in any harm to neighbours from kind of overbearing development. There are points made through the public consultation about potential views from the building and noise from the building, although they're not considered to be kind of materially different to what could already occur within the garden. Obviously, could stand at the end of this garden and kind of look towards neighbouring dwellings. So that's kind of not a change in that sense. Talk through my photos. On the left-hand side is a view from towards the proposed location of development. So you can see there the boundary treatments around the proposed building, which is a 1.8 meter closed board fence to the rear and 1.9 meter hedgerow to the closest side. And then in the photo on the right, that's a view from the patio area of 31 Paradise Row, looking back towards where the incidental building would be sited. And then a couple of views. The first one on the left is from kind of partway down the garden back towards the rear elevations of the terrace, Paradise Row, and the one on the right is from the garden area of the neighbouring property number 29. I included a diagram on the slide here to show the kind of arrangement of gardens, with number 29 having its most kind of private garden space to the rear end of the rear garden of number 31. The application is recommended for approval with a condition to restrict the use of the building to be incidental only, and a kind of precautionary condition in relation to archaeology as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a public speaker objection to this application, and could Mr. Oliver Cobb come forward, please?
Chair, members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to speak. I live at number 33 Paradise Row and ask you to refuse this application. I should say at the outset that this has been a difficult process for me. The applicant is a decent man and a neighbour. My objection is not personal, it is about the proposal in this particular location. The officer's report correctly recognises the unusually irregular shape and configuration of these gardens, but I believe the significance of that configuration has been missed. Had the gardens continued backwards in conventional strips, numbers 29 and 31 would have had gardens becoming significantly narrower towards their end and heavily overshadowed by Little Manwood. Instead, their gardens were allocated in L shapes, taking up much of the land directly behind number 33 to provide more open garden space away from Little Manwood and the overshadowing caused by its position to the south. The consequence was that number 33 was left with a substantially foreshortened garden. That was evidently regarded as an equitable division of the awkward space. Paragraph 2.12 describes the proposal as a modest building located at the end of the garden, but it would not be behind number 31, nor centrally positioned at the bottom of its garden. Its glazed frontage would directly face my kitchen window from approximately 16 metres away. The relative ground level significantly exacerbates the privacy impact. From my kitchen window, I can look over my 6-foot boundary fence and see more than half the height of the fence at the rear end of 31's garden. The fencing therefore provides little meaningful screening of that direct sightline. Although paragraph 2.11 identifies number 33 as one of the properties with the greatest potential to be affected, the report does not, in my view, adequately consider this directly facing relationship, the levels or the cumulative effect of previous development. The report also records concerns about harm to the openness of the historic garden arrangement, but I cannot see where that impact is actually assessed. The outbuilding would sit at the heart of the terrace's garden plot, in clear unobstructed view from numbers 27 to 33 and Little Manwood, with its upper part also visible from numbers 35 to 39, Manwood and Little Manwood Cottage. So I ask members to consider the cumulative evolution of this site. Number 33's garden was foreshortened, with the land behind allocated to number 31 because of the overshadowing of built form. That foreshortened garden was then itself overshadowed by number 31's later built form, and now on the very land behind number 33, allocated because of overshadowing from built form, the proposal would introduce yet more built form directly facing number 33. That cumulative effect does more than disregard the historical significance of this unusual garden allocation. It uses the layout in a way that reverses its rationale.
Thank you very much. The matters before committee. Councillor Back.
Thank you, Chair. Well, Heritage, as you say, have got no objections. Conservation Officer, no objections. It satisfies policies HE1 and HE2 of the local plan. No harm from overbearing. Condition restricted use to incidental use is already in place. On that diagram, next to number 12 at the bottom, we're going away from the site at the moment. Is that a like an outbuilding at the end of the garden now? 12, 14, 16, number 18, I'd say.
Sorry, where do you mean at the bottom? Number 12, so to the right hand side of the road.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4 along. There's like a building at the end of the garden.
Oh, there is, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't personally visited that site. So
I think my only point is there's a building there that hasn't caused a problem. I don't understand why this would. He's got a 1.9 metre fence, and the height of the proposed building is 2.5 metres. So it's not a great deal. It's not as if 3/4 of it is sticking over the fence. So I'll leave it to the rest of the committee anyway.
Thank you, Councillor Beck. Was that your hand up, Councillor Woodgate? You were just checking the height. Councillor Kenton.
Thank you, Chairman. The only reason it's here really is because of the listed buildings next door. Otherwise, this would normally be allowed under permitted development. I mean, we're only 20 centimetres taller than what would normally be allowed under PD rights, so they don't have them here. So in most cases, it wouldn't even be for us anyway. And usually we're relying sensitive areas like this for the conservation team to guide us, and this they don't seem to have an issue. There are no planning issues, so I can't see any rational reason why we can actually turn this down. So I'd like to move the officer recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Back.
I'll second.
In the absence of further comments, we have a proposal before us.
There is a motion to approve the application which has been seconded, and that's in accordance with the report recommendation. If you wish to approve the application, you should vote for the motion. If you do not wish to approve the application, you should vote against the motion or abstain. Can I ask Gemma to start the vote and for members to cast their electronic votes? We have 9 votes in favour of the motion, so that motion has been passed and the application has been approved.
We go to our next item, which is the land south of Coastal View Beach Huts in the promenade at Walmer, the installation of a beach sauna unit, 26/0080. And if I can hand over to our officer, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, members. So the application has included the aerial image here, which shows the site in its context adjacent to the mini golf course and the warm paddling pool. And then just some photos here. The elevations are all included in the report, so I haven't repeated them here. So we've got the 2 units would be located on the beach just here. There was some concern about the scrub being retained, and I can confirm that is being retained as part of the proposal. Although not aesthetically pleasing, it does provide some habitat. I think it's been assessed in the report as well. So a lot of the concern relates to the colour of the units themselves. And I'd just like to draw members' attention to the varied, say, street scene, the varied area here. We've got the dark finish of the Victorian shelter. And then other than that, it's quite an open landscape. And I would argue that the beach huts, which have been raised as the biggest concern, how they're all white, they're not going to be viewed in the immediate context, and rather it's going to be viewed in the context of the more commercial area. And yeah, it's a nice short and sweet presentation. It's recommended for approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you. With regard to this application, we have a speaker in support, Mr. Robin Bartlett, and if you'd be kind enough to come forward, please, this way.
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Robin Bartlett, partner and co-founder of Sea Scrub Sauna. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support. I would ask members to consider three things: the modest nature of the proposal, the benefits it will bring to Walmer and Deal, and the fact that the council itself identified the site for a sauna operation. The council put the site out to tender, and Sea Scrub successfully tendered for that opportunity around a year ago. This application is therefore the next step in delivering a use the council actively sought for this location. From a planning perspective, this is a small-scale mobile leisure use designed specifically for the seafront. It complements the existing recreational use and character of Walmer Beach. But perhaps most importantly, there is a genuine community benefit. We already operate beach saunas in Margate, Whitstable and Folkestone, and we have seen firsthand that they become much more than somewhere just to sauna. They become a third space, somewhere outside home and work where people of different ages and backgrounds meet. Friendships are made, conversations and ideas are shared, and we've even seen disagreements laid to rest. People who might otherwise never meet become familiar faces. They also reconnect people with the beach and the outdoors throughout the year, including those cold winter mornings when our seafronts can otherwise be quiet. And that activity spreads beyond the sauna itself. Our saunas attract new visitors from London and abroad, but also people from neighbouring towns, bringing year-round footfall that benefits tourism, supports employment, and creates additional trade for surrounding cafes, shops, and local businesses. At the same time, we want the sauna to belong to the community. Our membership system makes regular sauna use half price for members, encouraging local people to come frequently and helping create a genuine community meeting place. We're passionate about being an active partner in the towns where we operate, collaborating with local businesses, cross-promoting the area and helping raise the profile of the town as a destination. And we believe strongly in giving something back. In Whitstable, for example, we support an annual Boxing Day dip and sauna to raise money for the RNLI. It's a great example of how a sauna can bring people together, celebrate the seafront and turn that community spirit into support for an important local cause. We would bring that same approach to Walmer and Deal, building partnerships, supporting local charities and becoming a positive part of the community. So this is about much more than installing a sauna. It's about creating a welcoming, year-round community space that brings people together, supports local businesses and charities, attracts new visitors and gives residents another reason to enjoy the seafront in every season. The council identified the opportunity, Sea Scrub successfully tendered for it, there is significant local support, and our experience across 3 other Kent coastal communities shows the positive impact these spaces can have. For those reasons, please support.
Thank you very much. This is before committee, and I'm going to Councillor Nee, then Councillor Back, then Councillor Williams, and then Councillor Beanie, I believe. No, not Councillor Beanie.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I support the proposal and I'd like to propose that we accept the officer's recommendation. I do have a question. I wasn't aware until I heard our speaker that DDC had an interest in the site, and it concerns me that it wasn't part of the report. It doesn't have any influence on my decision in terms of my support for the proposal, but I think it would have been useful for the committee to have understood that it's a site that Dover put out for tender, because I'm assuming there is a pecuniary interest by DDC in this. In terms of the objections, I've only got to look behind me if the sauna were in place today, and I would see a crazy golf emporium and electric go-karts, which I think are probably more of a stain on the eyeball than the sauna complex could ever be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nee. The point about DDC going up for tender for the sauna, so while it's not a material consideration, I do take the point on board that it should have been included in the report, so I apologise to members for that.
Thank you. Councillor Back?
Thank you, Chair. Well, we've got 329 in support of this. Maybe it could be a better colour, which would be in keeping with the beach huts. But as the officers explained, there are several items along that coastline that are different colours. I second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Chair. I like the idea of a sauna and warmer, and the idea has many supporters, judging by the numbers supporting it. But there seem to be many practicalities that have not been considered in this report, which make me most unhappy. Warmer Town Council has objected on several grounds. In their design statement, it says it talks about the undeveloped coast and lower warmer conservation area designations along the coastline of the parish. No development or planting should be permitted that would obstruct or restrict the open character of the warmer seafront and public access to the beach. So what about these saunas on the beachfront? I believe saunas would restrict the open character of the warmer beach. Moving on to the colour, yes, there is a palette of colours down there, but it is predominantly white, and there are certainly no all black buildings. The space is in a very prominent position, and a black coloured building is very inappropriate. Natural wood planks would be so much better and would fit in better and age well, both with the nearby beach huts, which are white, and the many timber boats on the beach. I find this colour completely incongruent. Second point, in the planning application, it talks of a wood-burning stove to heat the saunas. The report does not mention this at all. Are there any regulations for wood-burning stoves and discharge smoke? Where would the wood for burning be kept? Is there a special type of wood needed? I'm particularly concerned about the air quality when the sauna is burning. People walk along the promenade at Warmer to breathe in clean, salty air, not wood smoke. I think DDC needs to specify some details about these, particularly about legislation about air pollution, if there is any, and suitable stoves, as well as disposal of the ashes. Another point, toilet access. Users would be dependent on the public toilets at the back of the paddling pool. I think we need a condition to say the saunas can only operate when the public toilets are open. Currently, that is 7:30 to 7:30 p.m, a.m. to p.m. If they're shut or closed for maintenance, the sauna has to be shut. Water. Personally, I dislike the idea of people sweating in the sauna, then washing the sweat off in the sea. I think running water needs to be provided for a shower. This could be an outside open air shower. Local people are very concerned about seawater quality.
Councillor Williams, can we just hold
Yes.
it there so that our officer can respond to those points? Thank you.
Thank you. Forgive me if I've missed anything. I have written notes, but please chip in if I have missed anything. In terms of the open character of the coastline there, I do understand, again, appreciate the point about Warmer Town Council, but the point about, say, restricting any access to the beach, the huts are very small. It won't restrict a very small part of the beach, it will restrict the view. In terms of access to the beach itself, people can easily walk around the edge of the building. It's not going to prevent anyone accessing the beach. I think I would interpret that to be more of any large scale building to restrict users of the beach rather than it being these small huts. In terms of the dark buildings, I did include a picture of the Victorian shelter there just for context. Although it's not black, it is very dark, and that would be viewed more in context with the proposed buildings than the white beach huts, which are further up the beach. So again, I do take your point on board, but I include that photo for that purpose. I'll pass to Luke for the air quality questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think the first sort of point is the scale of this scheme. It is a sort of relatively small unit, and the log burner associated with it would likewise be small. I've noted that environmental health didn't raise any objections, and in fact didn't raise that as a concern at all. Beyond the sort of the planning side of things, there's also sort of clean fuel regulations which would apply to all log burners or any fuel burning facilities, and equally there's other environmental health legislation that, as I say, applies separately from planning. So I think in terms of the scale, it's not something that is a material consideration that would warrant refusal in my view, but there are other sort of legislative or regulatory frameworks that can control that.
Thank you. Before going back to Councillor Williams, you've made a proposal about opening, a condition for opening between 7:30 and 7:30. I'm just wondering whether that is at all acceptable to the proposer and seconder. While you're considering that, I know Councillor Pout has something to say.
I'll try and keep it short. I think it's worth noting in the principle of development part of the report, there's a lot of points being made about supporting upgraded visitor attractions, which I think are very relevant when we're talking about the seafront, which is quite important, I think, to our district. Additional employment opportunities, which I think are very relevant to our district. I think there is a condition already, isn't there, about hours of operation? So I think that's covered. I wouldn't be supportive of a condition that restricts sweating at the beach, because I think that's somewhat laughable. Because I think you could go to the beach today, you'd probably get quite hot, and if you went in the sea, you'd probably be sweating as well. I'd be more concerned that Southern Water are dumping crap in the sea than people going to the beach, doing something nice, supporting a local business, and sweating. So I would support this as well. And I'd urge councillors to maybe think about what they're saying in an open forum.
Thank you, Councillor Pout. Councillor Nee?
Coming back to your comment and Councillor Williams' suggestion, condition 4 speaks about hours of operation. So I think our officers have heard Councillor Williams' concerns. I'm sure that will form part of the conversation when the submission for discharge comes in. So I'm content that the appropriate hours will be agreed between officers, because there's going to be lots of other things that have to be taken into account within the hours of operation condition. So I think if we stick with the recommendation as stated, I'm happy with that.
Thank you very much. But back to our officers, please.
I just thought I'd provide a bit of clarification in terms of the opening hours. So it is proposed that the opening hours extend beyond the opening hours of the toilet. We have spoken to building regulations in terms of what the requirements are for building regs, and they've confirmed that there isn't a requirement. However, in terms of the staff that will be working there, there are regulations that require toilets to be sort of reasonably accessible for them. The applicant has been made aware of that and is looking at arrangements with other businesses, other places in the locality to make sure that they're compliant with the law in that respect.
Thank you. That's helpful. Councillor Knight?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I actually have no real problem with the idea. I was just a little bit confused when I read the actual opening line, which says installation of a beach sauna unit, changing room, office and storage unit. I just wondered, are we talking one unit or are we talking several, or is this a multi-use thing? I was a bit confused actually by the description, because a sauna is a sauna. It's not a storage unit, and it's certainly not an office. And looking at the plan, it implies there's 2 units there. So can I just have some clarification on that? And while I'm talking, I do think Councillor Williams did make some very relevant points. I think the officers have answered most of them, but I do have concerns about anything like this that's new on a beach, and just the waste that's generated and how, you know, the impact on the environment could be. It's a big area. It's probably not going to be a massive issue, but I think as long as we're aware and everything's put in place and the regulations around its use are covering all the points that Councillor Williams and everybody else has said, then I think it would be an interesting project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. But in terms of clarification on the units, so there'll be one unit which is the sauna, and then the other one will be like will be manned by member of staff, will be the storage, the office. There's 2 units, so one will just be the sauna, and then the other one will be everything else that was listed. I appreciate probably the commas maybe weren't in the right place for the description to make it my error.
Yeah, that makes a bit more sense. Is there any likelihood of this is going to be expanded? Because if it is to be expanded, I know we're dealing with this one application, but in terms of moving forward, then I think some of the other points that were raised become even more relevant. So it would be good to know what the long-term plan is as well.
As you rightly just said, we are just dealing with the application that's before us, and any future plans I'm not privy to, and doesn't form part of the application. So if it were to come back for members, then we could discuss it if they put another application in.
Thank you. Councillor Back, did you want to come?
No, I'm done, thank you.
I suspect that the committee is, if we can have the proposal, please. Councillor Back, I don't want to use your name in vain. You did second the motion, didn't you?
I jolly did.
There is a motion to approve the application which has been seconded in accordance with the report recommendation. If you wish to approve the application, you should vote for the motion. If you do not wish to approve the application, you should vote against the motion or abstain. Can I ask Gemma to start the vote and members to cast their electronic votes? We have 8 votes in favour of the motion and 1 against, so that motion has been carried and the application has been approved.
Thank you very much, colleagues. We go to our next agenda item, number 7, 26/00372, which is 6A, 6B and 6C Strand Street, Sandwich. And I'll hand over to our planning officer for the presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, members, Chair. So this application is 6A, 6B, 6C Strand Street in Sandwich. Planning permission is proposed for the erection of a 1st floor and 2nd floor extensions to facilitate 2 residential apartments. Quick update to members, there is an error in report in that the Sandwich Town Council's response is under Sandwich Town Centre. The comments are all correct. Unfortunately, it was a typo from myself. In addition to this, KCC Archaeology had not responded as a consultee response. And as such, I've discussed the application with Building Control, who have suggested the engineering works is likely to be greater than that suggested within the report at paragraph 2.35. As such, I would like to suggest that it would be appropriate to impose an archaeological watch-in brief should planning permission be approved. Just go through the slides. The application site is located within sustainable location in the settlement boundary of Sandwich, within the Sandwich Wall Conservation Area, with a number of listed buildings within the vicinity. As set out in paragraph 2.11 and 2.13, sets out how the development will enhance the conservation area and the heritage assets. This is the application site. As you can see, at the moment, they're commercial units. These commercial units will remain in situ. The access will be provided through the existing entrance to Unit 6B to ensure minimal disruption when the works are undertaken. The single-storey building is not a common feature found within Strand Street. Okay, this just shows you kind of a snippet of Strand Street. As you can see, the application is on the site is on the right-hand side, and as you can see, this shows the varying scales and relationships of properties within this area. These are just some more photos taken within Strand Street. The street scene is generally mixed of characterised of 2- and 3-storey buildings. Given the nature of the road, the relationship between the properties are all very common, and there is some interlooking between properties at first and second floors. This just shows you one photo is taken from within the toll bridge and one is taken from the other side of the toll bridge. And then this just shows you the elevations. The proposed development will provide an additional 2 residential units on previously development land within a sustainable location within the settlement confines of Sandwich, with the commercial units being preserved as such. Each unit will be compliant with the National Technical Housing Standards and building regulations. As set out in your report, the design, scale and materials are considered acceptable and would preserve the heritage assets and visual amenity of the street scene. In addition to this, the proposal would not result in harm to the residential amenities currently enjoyed by local residents. The development is acceptable in all matters as such. The development complies with the development plan and the NPPF. The recommendation before you is to grant planning permission subject to the additional archaeological condition and the SPA payment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a speaker to object and a speaker to support, and I hope both speakers will excuse me if I mispronounce their names. But the speaker to object is Mr. Peter Anello. If you could come forward, please.
Good evening. I am here representing the Sandwich Town team with the authority of the chairman. I'm also representing myself as I live 2 doors away from the application site. We are not challenging the principle of development, but are opposing this application on the grounds that it would dominate rather than complement the location where there is a high concentration of cherished listed buildings. The existing single-storey building can be regarded as incongruous and inviting infilling. In 2009, planning permission was granted to a previous owner to demolish and to replace it with a 2-storey one with a hipped roof, matching those on adjoining properties. The eaves would have been just below those of the neighbours. It was not acted upon. In contrast, this new plan has a full-length ridge rising higher than those of the adjoining properties, and in fact, it cannot be constructed without alterations to the roofs of number 4 and number 8. It is important to understand the environs. While there are 3-storey buildings on the south side of the street, there are none on the north until after number 20, some distance along. 2 doors to the east, at the start of Strand Street, is the 15th century Crispin Inn, which is Grade 2 listed. On the opposite corner is the former Admiral Owen public house, now undergoing renovation. Again, it is 15th century, and this one is Grade 2 starred. From there, on the south side of the street, opposite the application site, and as far as number 15A, all properties are Grade 2 listed, as is my own, number 10. Strand Street probably has the highest concentration of listed properties in the county. Its importance was recognised in the 2009 decision by the inclusion of 7 conditions which stated that they were, quotes, in the interest of preserving or enhancing the character or appearance of the conservation area, unquote. This application does not do so. I now turn to the rear elevation. At present, on the approach to the toll bridge from Ramsgate Road and along the riverside walk known as Fisherman's Wharf, upper-storey windows on the south side of Strand Street are visible. If this plan goes ahead, the view will be of a ridge height, flat roof, extending the full width of the building. The heritage officer describes it as, quotes, a hidden flat roof, unquote. It is not. It will be in your face. Flat roofs in the conservation area are a big no-no for Sandwich Town Council and the town team, and there are none in the vicinity. This application pushes the boundaries of acceptability too far, elbowing an oversized building into one of the most historic streets in the county to the detriment of the conservation area.
Thank you very much. Can I ask Ms. Julia Dubchak, please, to come forward to speak in support of the application?
Good evening, members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of the application on the behalf of the applicants. This application seeks permission for a first and second floor extension to facilitate 2 residential apartments above the existing retail units. In terms of principle, the site is located within the town centre of Sandwich, a sustainable and accessible location. The proposed development focuses on filling a gap that currently exists with the otherwise continuous row of terraced dwellings, matching the 2 to 3 story heights and this characterizes the tightly knit medieval street. Given the importance and structural interest of Strand Street, the applicant has sought to create a frontage that draws on the street's most distinctive features, including pitched roof lines, projecting gables, upper dormer windows, and traditional fenestrations, all executed in high quality materials that allow the extension to sit comfortably within the existing character of Strand Street. The applicant has also taken on board the feedback received from the LPA during an earlier withdrawn application, making adjustments to the materials and fenestrations that have helped reduce the visual bulk of the building when viewed at a distance. The approach to design has been supported by both the planning officer and the heritage officer, who consider the proposed development to be in keeping with the Sandwich Conservation Area in terms of scale, materiality, detailing, and overall character. Both apartments comply with nationally described space standards for single-person occupation. You can see from the officer's report that the LPA are happy that the residential amenities proposed for the prospective future occupants are satisfied. The scheme safeguards the amenity of the existing neighbouring occupiers in terms of outlook, daylight, and privacy as set out in the supporting officer's report at points 2.26 to 2.28. This is a car-free scheme benefiting from excellent pedestrian links and public transport. KCC Highways have raised no objections to such approach. In summary, this is a well-designed scheme that delivers 2 new homes in a sustainable and accessible location, making efficient use of land by infilling a long-standing gap in the street frontage. This form of development is entirely characteristic to Sandwich's tightly knit medieval street pattern, where interlooking across the public highway is well-established feature of a traditional town centre location. We believe that the scheme preserves and enhances the character of the Sandwich Conservation Area and its assets whilst delivering a high-quality, small-scale residential development. For these reasons, we respectfully ask the members to support your office's recommendations and grant planning permission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Matters before committee. Councillor Beck.
Thank you, Chair. On page 37 of the report, the roof line is very similar to the properties each side. And page 36 states that there are already 2 and 3 story buildings in this road, albeit they're opposite side of the road. Doesn't really matter. They're three stories. If this was in grayscale, this on page 37, if it was in grayscale, it would look exactly the same as the properties each side. And it looks like the property to the right is a 3-story, unless those 3 squares are not windows on page 37.
So if I can just come back on that, no, they're not. They're the timbers.
All right. Basically, I see no planning reason to refuse this because, as I say, it's the same height as the 2 properties either side of it. So I accept the officer's recommendation to approve.
Thank you. I take that as a proposal, Councillor Black. Councillor Nee.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to second Councillor Black's proposal. My concerns are over the eventual completion of the building, and when I look at the planning conditions, the fact that we're making joinery details a distinct planning condition, material samples and window reveals and rainwater goods, and all very relevant elements to making sure it's a quality building, because as long as it is a quality building that enhances the street and doesn't look like a modern shoeing with cheap materials, then eventually this will just blend completely into the street scene, and once it weathers, I don't suppose anybody would know it wasn't there if they didn't know the area before. So happy to second.
Thank you. Am I right in thinking that the joinery details will relate to the way any new proposed construction joins with the neighbours, as was indicated by our speaker? And is there any form of traffic control, which I don't see in the conditions that's required?
Thank you, Chairman. No, the joinery details wouldn't relate to the neighbouring properties, but they would need to do a party wall agreement between the properties. In regards to the construction management plan, it was felt that we weren't able to put one on this because we weren't sure how we would control it and how enforceable it was. We have discussed about putting kind of informatives on to say about not having construction at peak times, sending out information to drivers about the correct routing around Sandwich, to try and overcome any issues arising from those matters.
Thank you, that's helpful. And may I say that I'm particularly pleased that we've gone beyond KCC in relation to that aspect of engineering works, where we're looking at archaeology even more carefully than has been recommended. I'm going to Councillor Beanie, then Councillor Back.
Thank you, Chair. Can we have a look at obviously the rear of the property again from what we're going to see from the toll bridge, please? Just trying to look from where we. There we are. So it's obviously I don't know Sandwich particularly well, but the gap, is it going to sort of fill that gap in that area? Okay, I'm just looking for the design. It is, but from a design perspective, I just think it is going to stick out. So the back, which obviously on the drawings we've got the drawing here. Is it the white gable we're looking at, or is it the sort of the outside of the road? So we're looking back. Yeah. So this you got the one with the Jordan windows. Is that the gable?
That's the other side of the road.
Yeah. So where are we looking at the back?
Where that dip is, where the tree is.
Where the tree is where the building will be.
At the park.
Between the glass balcony and the two.
Yes, we can't. Oh yes, yeah. Is that okay? Cool. Sorry. Yeah, that's the glass balcony.
We'll just have a bit of clarification in a moment.
Yeah, exactly that. Now, thank you for clearing that up.
I don't think it might get any worse, will it?
Well, you say it, Councillor. It's just obviously looking at them chimney heights, where the apartments building, where it says about the Wolf apartments. Obviously, the flat roof is going to be above those chimneys on the left-hand side. Yeah, but the chimneys that we're looking at the chimneys now on the left-hand side, we're looking at the chimneys, and this development is going to be up
level with the top of the chimney,
level
with the bottom of the pot.
Yeah. So from a visual impact, that's quite an impact. It'd be interesting to see how far that come out this way.
Councillor, have
Sorry,
you a point
can I
to
just,
make?
yeah,
for
I'll
your
just study that drawing. Be interesting to see like the back line of the building on how it runs with the elevation of the French windows building, how far it's set back, because obviously it's very difficult. Yeah, so is it how far is it set back from that French windows? Is it parallel? Is it set back a couple of meters? Is it set back 6 meters? It's hard to see from. Doesn't show on the drawings either, does it? Sorry, Chair. What my concern is obviously if it's virtually sitting parallel with the French windows wall gable, then it is quite protruding on the sight line.
Your concern relates to the mass and scale
Yeah.
of this,
Yeah.
and that's what needs to be answered. Thank you, Councillor Beanie.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd ask members to look at page 34 in the block plan figure 2. I think that probably best articulates it. Sort of cross-referencing, if we could bring up the rear elevation again. So cross-referencing the black weatherboarded projection on the to the rear. There's the element on the back which has got sort of lines sort of going roughly top to bottom at a slight angle, but top to bottom. That's showing that rear projection. So the sort of the white wall, if you like, is set forward from that or back from that. So it is set a significant way from the rear elevation of number 4.
Councillor Beanie, do you want to come back on that? Thank you. Councillor Back.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just double check the archaeology watching brief? Have we already got that on, or is that a condition we've got to?
Thank you for that question. No, it's one that I've recommended to be added on to that following my discussion with building control. The recommendation before you is for approval with that additional condition.
And that's acceptable, Councillor Back, is it? Thank you. Councillor Lee. Councillor Knight, did you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The gentleman that was objecting, I believe, lives just down the road, a few houses down there. But my question really to the officer would be that if you look at the proposed front elevation, you would argue that the two most directly affected properties are the neighbouring to there. The conversation that I want to assume somebody's had with the owners of those two properties, there's no objections. The build that is actually proposed is totally acceptable to those two, because by the looks of it, it's going to be affecting their properties directly. So can you just assure us that the dwellings that are immediately affected are perfectly happy with what's being proposed?
No, they're not entirely happy, and that is summarised within the public representations.
Thank you, colleagues. I don't see any further comments, and therefore I think we progress to the proposal that includes the new condition as explained, if I may.
There is a motion to approve the application which has been seconded, and that's in accordance with the report recommendation, but with an additional condition for an archaeological watching brief. If you wish to approve the application, you should vote for the motion. If you do not wish to approve the application, you should vote against the motion or abstain. If this motion fails to attract a majority of votes, the application will not have been determined and another motion and vote will be required. Can I ask Gemma to start the vote and for members to cast their votes? We have 9 votes in favour of the motion, so the motion has been carried and the application has been approved.
Thank you. We now proceed to agenda item 8, which is the application regarding 3 The Ramparts in Knight Rider Street of Sandwich, numbers 26/00485.
Thank you, Chair. And good evening, councillors. The application before us considers a 2-storey extension to the front of the application site, and that is at Knight Rider Street in Sandwich. This is the location plan of and this is just the aerial view of the site. So this is the existing elevation drawings. So as you can see, the 2-storey extension would extend all the way by 4 meters to this to the right, and it will continue the existing roof form, and the material palette is going to be the same. The design will be exactly the same as well. This is the view from the front. This window serves an ensuite, and the rest 3 windows serve a bedroom on the 1st floor. And all this aspect of the application is just to move this brick pier here to a bit towards the left, and just to create a widened access, and they will be removing this garage which is just behind this pier, and this garage will be completely removed, and 2 parking spaces will be within their garden, so parking spaces will be retained. All material considerations have been assessed in detail in the report, and the recommendation is to grant planning permission. Thank you. I do apologise. I do have more photos as well. This is what it would look like. This conservatory will be demolished, and it will come all the way up till here. The extension in consideration with the property next door, and when it comes to the wall, the brick pier that is to be moved just slightly towards the left, it will be just up till here, and the materials will be to match as well for the wall, for the historic wall. Thank you.
Thank you. We have speakers to object and a speaker to support. And could I ask Councillor Dan Friend to come forward as the first speaker objecting to this application? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, on this very warm evening. I've considered the officer's report and visited the adjoining property, viewing the relationship from inside and from the outside amenity area. Having done that, I cannot support the recommendation. The officer's report records that this 2-storey extension would be approximately 3.5 metres deeper than what it replaces. That would materially increase the built form and would alter the existing relationship between numbers 2 and 3. The report concludes that the effect would not be unduly dominant or oppressive. Having seen it on the ground, I respectfully reach a different planning judgment. This is not about protecting a private view, it's about residential amenity. The proposed 2-storey mass would sit at very close range directly opposite existing windows, serving rooms in active daily use. In my opinion, its scale, depth and proximity would create an overbearing and oppressive relationship materially reduce natural light, severely restrict outlook, and create an unacceptable sense of enclosure. Policy H6 expressly requires extensions not to cause unacceptable living conditions through overshadowing, loss of natural light, or sense of enclosure. Paragraph 135F of the NPPF requires a high standard of amenity for existing users. I therefore find conflict with policies H6 and PM1. There is also a separate heritage reason. The site's within the Sandwich Walled Town Conservation Area, and HE2 requires development to respect scale, massing, relationships between buildings and the spaces between them. The officer accepts that this proposal materially increases the built form and alters that relationship. In my opinion, this full two-storey extension erodes that established spatial relationship and fails to preserve the character and appearance of the conservation area. Section 72 requires special attention to preserving or enhancing that character or appearance. The NPPF requires great weight to conservation, and where less than substantial harm is identified, that harm must be weighed against public benefits. I do not consider the public benefits sufficient to outweigh that harm. I therefore urge refusal on two reasons. Unacceptable harm to neighbouring residential amenity, contrary to policies H6 and PM1 and paragraph 135F of the NPPF. And second, harm to the character and appearance of the Sandwich Walled Town Conservation Area, contrary to policies PM1, HE1, HE2, section 72 of the 1990 Act, and paragraphs 212, 213 and 215 of the NPPF. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a second speaker to object to this application, and if that second speaker could come forward, please. Our second speaker does not want their image to be, or speech to be broadcast. as we've had 2 speakers to object, we have 1 speaker for the 6 minutes to support. So could I ask, please, Ms. Mandy Prince to come forward, please?
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak this evening. I will answer a couple of the objections that have been put across, but firstly, I just wanted to make it quite clear that we are not developers. So some of the objections are that the developers are just being untoward or whatever. We live next door in Night Riders, and we've lived there for 2 years, and we have the most wonderful house, and we're not going to get taken out of it unless it's in a box. So why did we actually buy next door? Cynthia passed away, and then we were told that a developer wanted to buy the plot, and we care about where we live, and we thought, you know what, let's buy the plot. So before it went on the market, Tim, her son, allowed us to purchase it, and we're very grateful that he did. We promised him that we'd make the house better because Cynthia was there for 30 years plus, and it's had no work done to it. She had very ill health. So obviously we've got some support, a lot of objections, but our immediate neighbour, Emma of Ramparts Cottage, has said that she's quite happy for me to mention that we've got support. Why does the house need work? Okay, we're not changing things for change's sake. We're trying to bring this building back to a beautiful building, okay, because it could be and always was a beautiful building before. The current issue with the building, it doesn't work. So I actually invited councillor friend to come in to have a look, because I feel like unless you've seen both sides of the story, it's really difficult to tell. But in our house, in the kitchen, it's dark because of the extension next door. Not only that, when I'm upstairs, we're already looking into each other's houses. I can see their office and a Toblerone on their desk. That's how close it is. So we've got to change it. It needs change, and it needs to be acceptable change for both sides. But the only way was we needed to make it work better, okay? Because at the moment I sit at the conservatory and I can actually see my nice neighbours on their terrace. So there's already considerable overlooking between the properties, okay? And that's not something that we're creating with this extension that we've proposed. The light, I mean, I understand, I've obviously looked at plans both sides, and we are going to cover their window, and I feel terrible about that, but it is just their coffee room, and they do have other windows that are to the front, and I don't want to be looking into their window. I'm sure they don't want to look into ours really. So there's been a lot of talk about we've taken down planning notices. We haven't taken down planning notices. We've had so many objections that in some stage I actually thought, do you know what, let's not do it, it's too stressful. Both neighbours that have objected have done huge extensions, and and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, but everyone needs to be given, you've got to look at what we're trying to do, and everyone should be given a fair shot, I think. We've had talk of the cedar tree, that we're trying to kill the cedar tree. We are not. I've asked for a TPO to be put on it. We've got a window in our house that we put in to see the cedar tree. This is the house that we live because we love it, right? We've got the church, and we can see it from the road. You can't see 3 Ramparts from the road. You could barely see it. Okay, that is the situation. If people could come and have a look, it would be far better. They would get an understanding. St Clement's Church, there's a talk about the church. We already speak to Father Sebastian. We help with the church, and we're getting married in the church in November. This is how much we care about where we live and our neighbours, but we do have to make this change to make the property work. I know it's difficult, but I've made a promise to Tim, his mother's died. Her ashes are under the cedar tree. That we'll do this. We're going to move forward with it if we can, however stressful that might be. Your planning officer very kindly has come out. He's looked. Of course there's going to be change, but we feel like it's fair change when the overlooking's already there. And the buildings used to be
actually at the same level. It's these extensions that have gone on through the years that have made ours quite a setback. So in summary, I don't agree with some of the things that have been said. It doesn't mean that I don't respect them. I feel like maybe Councillor Friend should come to the House. It's only fair if you're going to support someone to look at the other side of the story. That's just, you're still welcome. Everybody's welcome to come to the House, because I think until you go into the House, you really don't realise why we're having to do this extension. So anyway, lots of objections, lots of stress. We even had a complaint the other day regarding our own house, where they said we'd put a building up and it was actually a shed that's been there for a year. So it's been quite tough, actually. And we love where we live, and we're still going to love where we live. Thank you. It's a long time, isn't it? I don't feel like I need to talk that long. But I think so if I'm answering some of the things that were said, of course it's not nice when somebody's going to move their house forward, but it's actually not nice for us looking in their window, and the terrace really does overlook. Next door's extension caused that severe overlooking, and we're just trying to work with what we've got, really. And I really welcome anyone to come into Three Ramparts and see what we're dealing with. But thank you for listening. I think I've sort of said as much as, but anyway, thank you. Hopefully you'll listen to your lovely planning officer and make the right decision.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. I see Councillor Williams' hand, Councillor Back's hand. So if I can go first to Councillor Williams. But before going to Councillor Williams, I'm going to go to our planning officer.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to bring attention to one of the points that the supporters raised regarding the removal of the site notice. That was brought to our attention, and that was subsequently put up as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Councillor Williams.
Have you got a diagram showing the relationship to next door? Because you say it's as it is now, which is 3.5 metres, I think, behind the other house. I just can't visualise it.
Sorry. So technically it's 4 from that end, from that wall, but 3.5 from what's already existingly built, and it would come all the way around here, if you can tell.
Yeah.
Wait, was it not
showing?
Oh, I do apologise, it was not showing.
It doesn't show.
Yeah, that's where they built it to, and then gone up, which is the issue, I think, the neighbours.
And there are windows currently overlooking from the neighbours to them. Is that right?
Yes. So there is a ground floor window that faces the application site that serves an entrance. There is a first floor window that serves a coffee room, and then there's also a window that serves a landing, there's steps, and then there's also an inset window which is in that little gap, if you can see, in between the properties, and that serves a toilet. And then the one window that is of concern is the one on the second floor that serves an office, and that is the only habitable room. So the other windows don't really serve any other habitable rooms.
Have we got that? Have we got that photo? Have you got the photo with the windows?
There's a photo.
Oh, right.
So
yes.
that is the office room window, but as you can see, there is also another light source to it.
Right. So they would just bring it forward to the level of the other house.
Yes, that is indeed correct.
So at the moment they are being overlooked, in fact, and it would just equalise the position of the two houses. Right. Thank.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Back, did you have your hand?
Thank you. Well, this conforms to policies H6 PM1 CC 8 and Sandwich Town Council supports. DDC Heritage proposal does not require specialist input, and the proposal would replace the existing single-storey conservatory. And 5, we are only looking at what is before us. And at the moment, going by what Councillor Bean has just said, those windows are already there anyway, overlooking. So you can't really say, oh, you can't have them now because they're already there. So are any of these proposed windows, have they got any obscure glass or not?
So there are no windows on the side elevation that would actually face to the rampart. All the windows would actually just look forward of these two, and this one does serve an ensuite, a shower room. Right.
Thank you, Chair. Well, as we're looking at planning reasons for approval or refusal, I will move to grant.
Thank you, Councillor Back. I'm going to Councillor Beanie, then Councillor Knight.
If the officer, please, can you go back, bud, to the that's it, that one there. I'm always polite, mate. You know what I mean? Always polite. So we are saying that the corner of the conservatory, the existing conservatory, is the back wall of the new extension. Yeah, because it's very difficult. So because obviously on the maps and when you're trying to zoom into the maps and that sort of stuff, the conservatory from that back wall, from the back wall to the conservatory front wall is 4 meters.
Actually, the conservatory actually sits a bit more than 4 meters. So the extension would be a bit behind to what the conservatory sits at right now.
How far? Because obviously, obviously, with no disrespect, they're not the most helpful of photos. Because obviously, looking at it's very difficult. You've got the parallel that they're again back to parallel of the back wall. So you've got the back wall of both extensions. Are they parallel with each other? The taller bits, the taller buildings.
No, they are not. The application site is set back from the neighbours.
So the application site is set back from the neighbours. Obviously, because there again, 3-4 meters is a block, is quite a lump on the back of that house, obviously, and it is going to almost. It'd be interesting to see because it's very difficult on all the site maps and all that sort of stuff of how much of a tunnel it's going to cause in that centre area. It's really difficult, and we've had a proposal, but I would actually probably suggest maybe a site visit. They're saying no already. We've had a proposal, so hopefully you get your vote, but just to see how far, because it's very difficult. You sticking up for me, Nick?
Have to wait and see.
Because just from that photo, if we're looking sort of a plane of glass back from that conservatory base is going to be the back wall of the new extension. That is a lumpy bit of masonry on the back of that house, overcasting the neighbours next door.
You want to come? I think, Councillor Beanie, you've made your point, and have I heard that you are suggesting a site visit? Because if you are, I want to come back to you after 1 or 2 other contributions, because what we're going to need is what information you think is precisely going to be acquired by a site visit. But first of all, I'm going to go to Councillor Knight.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I do share Councillor Beanie's concerns to a degree. On that photo on the left-hand side, I can see a kind of gate in a wall. I can't quite understand where how this works. What is that gate for? Is that access into an alley, a yard, and I assume the extension is going to be built on that wall. So could we get some light on exactly what the purpose of the gate is and how the extension is going to affect the use of that? Because I don't know whose right of way that is.
So that gate would it actually just leads into the property for number 2. That alleyway is part of number 2's area, and the extension, if I could just get the pointer, would come right around here. That's how deep it would be. So it would actually come forward of that gate.
Is that clear for you, Councillor Knight?
It clearly is an old existing gate that was utilised by neighbours or something then, but it kind of made me think maybe there's some right of way on the side there, but clearly there isn't.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Can I go to Councillor Kenton?
Well,
when Councillor Pelt sat down and everything?
Can't do anything with him.
He's independent.
We're just trying to work with this now, and the camera angles are quite tricky. And I've got no issue with the principle of the extension, and everybody, you know, it fits within policy as an extension, which is great. And obviously the neighbours, by the looks, have had an extension in the past. They've built out, and I think probably the house alongside that house. So I have no issues with that. But what we're trying to get to grips with here, and it's because of the photos and the plans, and I've been looking online at the main plans as well, it's trying to, we haven't quite got enough information, I don't think, but the way it's laid out and the angle these are taken, to see whether the impact of this development by its bulk scale and massing would interfere with the neighbouring amenity of the property next door. And that's all we're arguing about, not the principle, it's whether that is significant enough to warrant refusal. Now, I can't make that decision tonight because I don't think I have enough information, and therefore I would support Councillor Beanie in a site visit because I think it's the only way we're going to work out whether that's affecting the property next door or not.
Thank you, Councillor Kenton. Before going to Councillor Papp, I know we have a response from officers.
Just if it helps in any way, I've measured the existing conservatory, which is a touch over 6 metres from the main rear elevation, and the extension we're looking at is 3.5 metres. So I don't know if that provides enough clarity, but that if it does help, then hopefully that's.
Thank you. I'm going to Councillor Pelt, then Councillor Nee.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your clarification there, Luke, but I don't think it does provide us enough information, actually, because I'm now looking at the, I think it's the proposed site plan, and obviously you've got great detail for the for number 3 with the extension shown and a patio, and then you've got an outline for next door. But obviously you've got the existing house next door, you've got, I think, is that an extension plus a flat roof extension? And so there isn't enough information available to us either through your report, or I don't think through the documents that have been submitted as part of this planning application, for us to properly know, wherever this extension ends up, what the implications is on next door. And so I don't feel that I can vote either way at this point, because the information available, whether this image is poor or not, is irrelevant. Where it's going to end up, I don't know if that lines up with a flat roof or whether that lines up with a 2-storey extension. And so I can't make a judgment on whether that impacts next door or not. And so I can't vote on this in good faith with the information that has been provided and that you've accepted as officers.
Thank you, Councillor Pelt. Councillor Nee.
Thank you, Chair. A similar comment. I looked online on the planning portal, and there's a drawing, I think is the one that Jamie's referring to. Most applications that we get in front of us, we either know or out of our own interest, we can investigate quite easily. And some of them we can use Google Maps and Street View, but this one's impossible to determine because it's a tucked away location. Unless we've been privy to an invitation to visit it, we really can't tell. And as Councillor Pound has said, we've got a block plan of the building next door, but we don't know what it represents. So, and I think everyone here knows my view on site visits. You know, they're to be avoided. like an invite to a vampire into your house at midnight. I reluctantly have to agree that a site visit may well be the only way that we can determine this.
We whilst I've heard Councillor Back's proposal for acceptance, I've also heard a range of views in relation to a site visit. But do I have? The motion that's been seconded is from Councillor Beanie, and I believe Councillor Powell seconded it.
Chair, I was the one who suggested a site visit. I was the one to suggest. Yeah.
You're
sorry.
A site visit. No. You're proposing that we hold a site visit, and I believe Councillor Powell was seconding your proposal. So I think at this point we come to a vote in order. We will come to a vote in order to determine whether or not we should have a site visit. Am I right in considering that the reasons for such a site visit relates to the inadequate information regarding the mass and scale of the extension and the impact on its neighbours? Can we go and go to the vote in relation to our site visit, please? Gemma, if you could.
And we normally do everything at the same time, so we they vote on the actual on the application, but we would then also appoint the site visit panel at the same time. So they need to nominate members to attend the site visit and form the panel. Well, if you we'll vote on the site visit, because I suppose if it fails, okay. So there is a motion to hold a site visit, to defer the application for a site visit, and that's on the grounds of assessing the mass and scale of the extension and impact on neighbours. So that's the reason for the site visit. If you wish to approve deferral of the application for a site visit, you should vote for the motion. If you do not wish to defer the application for a site visit, you should vote against the motion or abstain. Clear? If this motion fails to attract a majority of votes, the application will not have been the application will not have been determined for a site visit, and another motion and vote will be required, or something like that. And Gemma, please start the vote, and you can't. We have 6 votes in favour of the deferral for a site visit and 3 against. So that proposal has been carried, and we will have a site visit. You now need to nominate members or yourselves to form the site visit panel.
Thank you. We need to have 5 members of the panel for a site visit on the 15th of September and 2 reserves. I wonder if there could be any nominations.
Sorry, Chairman, can I just say the site visits are normally held at about 9:30. So I will need 5 members to form the panel plus 2 reserves if possible.
Councillor Beanie. Thank you. Councillor Nee. Councillor Kenton, was that a voluntary or was that an imposed aspect? So we have Councillor Beanie, Councillor Kenton, Councillor Nee, Councillor Pout and Councillor. We also require 2 substitutes. Thank you, Councillor Knight. Can I advise the panel, and I know there are several of us that had the benefit of the last site visit, is it about 18 months ago, Councillor Kenton, in Deal, that at 9:30 when you meet, that at that point you appoint someone to oversee the panel.
Can I just be clear that the site visit would take place on Tuesday, the 15th of September. So if you can put that in your diaries, please, and I will send further details out in due course.
And thank you very much for your voting. And we go to the next agenda item, please. Agenda item 9, which is regarding the erection of bollards, footpath crossovers and a paved footpath, number 26/0031 in Canada Road, Walmer. And if our officer could make the presentation.
Thank you, Chair. This application relates to the erection of 16 bollards, footpath crossovers and a paved footpath within the estate, the former Royal Marines estate. If you would like me to point out where the bollards would be, 2 would be over here, 2 here and then 2 here, so that's 6, 2 here, 8, 1 here, 9, and then 2 here, 10, 11, and then 2 here, 13, 14, and then 15 and 16. And then the crossovers would be 1 over here and 1 over here. And then the angled footpath is this. These are just more pictures of where the proposed bollards would be, but in more detail and close up of the locations. So this is where one of the crossover would be in Harvey Avenue, which is this one. And the other crossover, which is over here, would be over here. And the recommendation is to grant planning permission. Thank you.
Thank you. We have speakers in support and in objecting. And if I could ask the speaker who doesn't want their image or speech broadcast to come forward to object to this application, please. We have a speaker in support of the application, and if Mr. Darren Chandler could come forward, please.
Good evening, Chair and Committee. I've been asked to come here on behalf of the balance maintenance people to actually discuss this and move it forward. This application was reduced originally from including other elements which have now been taken off altogether. The remaining items on the application are based on accessibility and exactly as the gentleman said before me, and the means of actually protecting people as well as allowing them accessibility around the site. Now, the bollards that seem to be causing such concern are the same bollards that are positioned other places around the estate. They're not any different. They're an exact replica and heritage grade. They are set behind the curb, allowing the maximum footpath width, which you can possibly get with a bollard. What is deemed not to be said, and this is nothing like what I've got written down here, so we're going off on a tangent here, is the biggest issue with the bollards is the major buildings there that are being maintained at regular intervals. They are driven on by scaffold lorries, delivery lorries, etc., which has then caused broken paving, broken curbs, etc., which cause trips and falls to the people, and yet again causing that problem for accessibility. We've got to stop that somehow. They need to have a certain amount of bollards in place, not an excessive amount, just enough to prevent these vehicles from parking on there, to make sure that people can walk up and down safely, even when they are working, and also does not damage the footpath that's underneath it, which then cause other problems. The footpath down the other end, that is an accessible item simply to allow people to enjoy the whole parade ground. You have got people with disabilities, or you've got the accessibility problem. They get to that corner, they stop and turn around. They can't. The idea of putting in the path there is so that they can actually go around and have the same access to the whole ground as everybody else has got. It's that simple. The drop curbs, there's a few at the moment that have gone in. There probably won't be. That won't probably be it. But at the moment, you gentlemen will know, you've got HB2 curbs everywhere. Unless you put a drop curb in there, it isn't accessible. You have got concrete slabs in there. None of them are historical grade. They are based on, God knows what happened to the original curbs many years ago with a developer, but that's here and there. So we're not touching something that's historical. We're actually changing it to make it better for the people who actually live there. And it's just accepting that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The matters before committee. Councillor Nee, I see your hand.
Thank you, Chair. My first comment is that I'm surprised this is before committee. I understand why, because of our standing orders, but this is not a matter for committee. I would have said this is something that officers could discuss and give a decision on with their delegated powers quite easily. My second point is this is the first planning application ever where I've never been able to work out the real reason for objections. I just can't understand why the objections are there. I can only see that it's an improvement for the people on the estate, because I have visited the estate on occasions, and exactly as the supporter said, I've actually seen a lorry parked right up on the curb next to a building unloading materials. So I fully approve the officer recommendation and would move that we support it.
Thank you. Councillor Knight.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm somewhat bemused by this as well, because bollards in the ground, crossovers, etc. I can't confess to know a great deal about that. What I would say is, though, I mean, the engagement with the people that live there is really paramount, and the objector obviously has grave concerns about certain things. So I'd hope that within the communication of the location and the crosses and the bollard positions, that the locals who actually live there and actually see the problems, which is a time-old consideration. People that actually live in the area know the area better than anybody else. So I would hope that their views and their observations will actually be filtered through to the final decision what's going to be made. But I don't feel I can do anything but say it sounds like it's a scheme that should work. So I would approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think
Second,
the objector did mention the matter of approved plans, which are part of the condition and which hopefully would pursue this. Are there any other comments? Councillor Knight, was that a seconding of Councillor Nee's proposal? Thank you. We have a proposal before committee.
Thank you, Chairman. There is a motion to approve the application which has been seconded, and that's in accordance with the report recommendation. If you wish to approve the application, you should vote for the motion. If you do not wish to approve the application, you should vote against the motion or abstain. Can I ask Gemma to start the vote and for members to cast their votes? We have 9 votes in favour of the motions. That motion has been carried and the application has been approved.
Thank you. We now progress to agenda item number 10, which is 26/00453 Heatherstone House in Hawksdown, Walmer. And if our officer could make the presentation, please.
Thank you, Chair. So this application relates to the site called Heatherstone House, Hawksdown. In this description, most of these elements have been approved previously. However, the new elements this time are the 7 roof lights. The swimming pool was previously approved, however, is meant to be an outdoor swimming pool, but this time it will be an indoors swimming pool. It would also be raised in the ridge height by 0.6 meters, and there will be a rear dormer. This is the site, and this is the distance between the neighbouring properties. So this is what the ground floor plan and the roof plans would look like. These are the 7 roof lights. This was meant to be the outdoors pool, but now it's all being enclosed. And this is where the dormer would be. That is the dormer, and if you can see this line, this is where the 0.6 increase in the ridge height would be. And the recommendation is to grant planning permission. Thank you.
We have speakers in objecting and supporting, and if I could ask the speaker who is objecting to come forward, please. The speaker does not want their image or speech to be broadcast. We have a speaker in support, and if Mr. Asney, if I see her, could come forward, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Anthony Fasea. I'm the owner of the Eddystone House, and I respectfully ask you to support the application. The central question is whether the revised design create any specific unacceptable additional planning harm when the actual scale, orientation, separation, distance, and existing surroundings are considered, and I respectfully submit that this does not. This is not a new development on an undeveloped site. Like the planning officer said, it's already been approved previously and already established, and the acceptability of the substantiality, extending and modernization of Eddystone House, including two-story extension, balcony, side extension, raised terrace, swimming pool, and gym facility. The reason we are covering the pool is due to proposed 75 dwellings that will be coming to the farmland behind the property, which we were not aware of during the purchase. The current application refines that approved scheme to create a more coherent and better integration design. The property will remain one private family dwelling. It is not being converted into flats, a commercial venue, a party accommodation, and there's no proposed intensification of its residential use. We do respect our neighbors, and rather than having a dialogue and seeing the best way forward, the design actually improves the area and also improves the value of the property in the area. This particular residence is for my family. So it's not being rented out, or like they said, it's going to be for holiday let. It's not. So, and in terms of the areas of respect to trees, the property has been neglected by previous owners, and majority of the trees are all covered with ivies, which obviously is, even when we did the agricultural report, it shows that majority of the trees are dead. And our plan is to look into the ones that are alive, and we're working with the, somebody reported us to the, they reported us to the what they call it, enforcement officer, which we're working with them to ensure that they can see that the properties, what we are providing is to improve the quality of the property, not to disrespect our neighbors or anything. This is going to be our family home, and I will really, really appreciate if the council actually look into it and approve the application and support the proposal from the planning officer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If I can go to Councillor Back.
Thank you, Chairman. As far as I can see, there's a good separation from other properties and fits in well. The roof lights are not vertical, so will not afford as much direct visual outlook. One of the speakers mentioned covenants, but they are not a planning concern. Can you give me some, I mean, looking at page 60, it may not come up on your screen, but there seems an awful big distance between all of these properties, 1, 2, 3, 4, and one of them looks more like a shed. That's it. Yeah. So what's the distance then between the nearest property?
I'll come to Councillor Nee just in a moment until we get the answer to that particular question.
Sorry about that, Councillor. So the distance to the property to the north, Traverick, is 15 metres, and the distance after the extension has been put to South Meadow would be 10 metres. Thank you.
Do you want to come back on that, Councillor Back?
Did you say, sorry, did you say 10 metres?
Yes, 10 metres to the one in the southwest.
Thank you, Councillor Back. I'm going to Councillor Nee, then Councillor Woodgate, and then Councillor Knight.
Thank you, Chair. I will second Councillor Back's motion. The changes to the existing permission are de minimis, and again, as in a previous application, this probably isn't something other than our standing orders that should have come to committee, I don't believe.
Thank you, Councillor Woodgate.
No.
Councillor Knight.
Yeah, I probably was going to second it anyway, but I just wanted to confirm that the actual application or the update is using pretty much the same footprint as the original one that was approved. So if it's exactly the same, we're talking about a 600mm height difference. So why are we even discussing it? So.
Are there any other comments? We have a proposal before the committee.
Thank you, Chairman. There is a motion to approve the application which has been seconded, and that's in accordance with the report recommendation. If you wish to approve the application, you should vote for the motion. If you do not wish to approve the application, you should vote against the motion or abstain. Can I please ask Gemma to start the vote and for members to cast their votes? We have 9 votes in favour of the motions. The motion has been carried and the application has been approved.
Thank you. That means that we are at the end of our meeting. Thank you, everyone. I would like to wish a good evening to members, officers, and all those watching the meeting online. Please could I ask Democratic Services to end the meeting broadcast and confirm when this has been done?